Hello, and welcome. As you've probably seen from the title, yes, an Eden build has leaked. And today I'm going to tell you everything about this leak, explain why you shouldn't test this version, and, as promised last week, I also had an exclusive interview with Camille, the developer and creator of Eden. So we'll also talk a bit about that conversation and the behind the scenes of the project. And this month, Instant Gaming, the official sponsor of the channel, is giving away 3 Nintendo Switch 2 consoles to you guys. The consoles will be shipped as soon as they're officially released, and the best part, you can join the giveaway completely for free. All you have to do is click the first link in the pinned comment, log in with your account, and hit participate. That's it. After that, Instant Gaming's social media profiles will show up, and if you follow any of them, your chances of winning will increase even more. But heads up, entries are open only until April 13th, so what are you waiting for? Go to the pinned comment, join the giveaway, and if you're planning to buy any games, using our partner link also directly supports the channel. Good luck to everyone! First, about the leaked Eden build. Yes, the leaked build is real and was indeed developed by the Eden team. However, it's important to clarify that this is one of the earliest versions of the project, when it was still in a very early and immature stage. Even if you get your hands on a build that came out this week, it will probably be far below your expectations. Remember, the work is still far from complete, there may be serious issues not yet reported by the team, and of course, the performance might be well below expectations, especially since Eden is being developed from the latest Yuzu build. Now that you know this build was indeed leaked and understand that its performance may be disappointing, a new question comes up. How exactly did it end up on the internet? Wasn't it a closed group with trusted members? Could someone from the team have leaked it? The answer is a bit more complicated, so let's break it down. Today, the people who are part of Eden's Discord server are indeed trusted by Camille and the rest of the development team. Some suspicious users have already been banned, and those who remain have been loyal to the project. We know this because there are even newer builds than the one that leaked, available only in the private beta tester channel. In fact, all the gameplay you're seeing in the background was recorded by me using one of these builds, and with Eden team's authorization, nothing shown here was obtained illegally. That's why we can say with near certainty that no one from the development team leaked anything. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a more recent build making the rounds. So, how did this build end up outside the community? After talking with Camille to understand what happened, he explained that it all started when Zephyron gained unauthorized access to the Citron Discord server. From there, he copied the full message history and leaked it within Citron's own server in the form of an HTML file. Inside this file were not only conversations but also Google Drive links shared by Mr. Purple, containing at least 2 alpha builds of Eden. The first build that was leaked was exactly the first alpha. The twist in all of this is that the person who spread the files goes by the name Zen. Fortunately, the Eden team acted quickly. And here's a special thank you to Pikachu for his effort. He helped stop the spread of this content. With the support of various communities, we managed to prevent that file from continuing to circulate. And it's important to remember, this build represents an extremely outdated and incomplete version that in no way reflects the true potential of the project. So for now, these are the most reliable details about the leak. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in the comments. If I know the answer, I'll reply right there, and if I don't, I'll ask the Eden team directly, who, by the way, often watch the videos as well. And now, let's talk about the interview with Camille. I asked him a few questions about anti-piracy systems, as a sort of follow-up to last week's video, which you can watch by clicking the card up top. But since there wasn't enough time to include the answers in the last script, some of the information might already be a little outdated. What I can say is that Camille is an incredible person, super philosophical. You could easily spend an entire afternoon just chatting with him. Oh, and before we get into the questions, if you enjoy this kind of content where I chat with people from the community, leave a like on the video. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a great time to hit that button so you don't miss upcoming collabs. The first question I asked Camille was about his view on Citron's policy on Discord, the one that required users to verify their consoles. Camille answered, "Well, I honestly think it's an absurd idea for multiple reasons, not just because it forces the community to install software of questionable origin and purpose, but also because it's a terrible way to betray the trust of those who have placed their confidence in the project. This was something I tried to avoid at all costs in Citron until the moment of my departure. And this stems, in part, from a misguided idea to protect the project from potential major issues, something that could have been avoided by studying the case of the project we succeeded. However, as we've witnessed, this hasn't happened. We must remember that users' biggest issue with Nintendo wasn't the Patreon itself. As we know, the GPL allows developers to earn money from their projects or contributions to others, enabling free software development. The real problem was that the original team made reckless decisions by promoting piracy internally, sharing games, links, or express patches within the emulator to make certain games playable before they were officially released. The paywall for the early access version was not punished because it was a practice protected under GPL version 2.0, which the team used for their project. Likewise, the Patreon itself wouldn't have had any major repercussions if games hadn't been shared. The real issue arose from the game decryption method, the use of cryptographic keys. This directly violated the protection of Nintendo's proprietary security systems under DMCA 1210, in addition to the circumvention agreements that Yuzu bypassed by allowing auto-generated keys within the emulator. Among other things, this openly facilitated piracy, which, from a company's perspective, would never be acceptable. They will always do everything possible to protect their intellectual property, which is fair and necessary in many cases. However, this also raises an internal moral dilemma regarding the reasons why these projects continue to exist. When discussing Yuzu forks, like any other emulator, piracy has historically driven progress in various parts of human history, granting access to information for those who couldn't afford the original product. Some of the first documented cases of piracy trace back to book copying, showing that protection seals and anti-piracy measures have always been present. Without piracy, much of what we know as culture today wouldn't exist or be accessible to the world. I honestly believe that in today's era, corporations have been more focused on maximizing their profits, making it harder to access content, and even punishing paying customers. Whether it's games that would have become lost media without emulation or knowledge that would have disappeared, just like the Library of Alexandria in the past, piracy has played a key role in preserving history. Additionally, from a moral standpoint, culture should not be accessible only to those who can afford it. Much of what we do, know, and share today is thanks to easy access to culture. If you can afford the luxury of purchasing content, that's great. You'll have benefits that pirates do not, and avoid the risks that come with it. At the end of the day, life is a balance, and every action carries weight, even if the world often seems unfair. Next, I asked, in your opinion, what's the best balance to keep emulators accessible for intermediate users while also making them as legal and functional as possible? Camille responded, this is a somewhat complicated topic to answer because it involves contradictions regarding the end user's experience when using an emulator. While it is true that an emulator should be easy to use, whether in terms of settings, interface, or other aesthetic additions, these aspects are not the primary focus during development. They are gradually refined as the project progresses. This means that, to fully benefit from the application on their device or computer, a person must have at least an intermediate level of knowledge, if not more. Simply following external guides may not always be the best approach unless they address specific cases. That is why I always recommend that people take the time to analyze the application, look up references, and understand the terminology used within it. This allows for better control when using the emulator. It is understandable that the abundance of technical settings can be confusing, but with practice, everything becomes easier. Experimenting on your own is always the best way to gain information and experience, rather than relying solely on external references to satisfy intellectual curiosity, something that should ideally be self-driven. Furthermore, over time, emulators are becoming more complex to use. This is because being user-friendly is not typically a primary focus for a project, at least not in its early stages. It can take a long time before an emulator becomes adjustable to individual user preferences. Everything in life requires effort and practice. One must learn both the melody and how to thread the needle in order to improve each day. And of course, I couldn't skip this one. If you had full freedom, what solutions would you implement in Eden today? Camille replied, wow, haha, that's an interesting question. For over a month now, I've been working on implementing the TLB in the emulator, which directly affects NC and Android, along with other related changes that would significantly improve resource management and performance. These are things I always begged Zephyron to implement correctly, but he never followed clear instructions. Just like in version 0.6.1, where he adapted something that shouldn't have been changed, maybe out of jealousy over my progress in studying the code and how all those changes gradually improved or enhanced what was already established. However, thinking back on it now, there are many conceptual ideas that sound amazing to implement. For example, tweaking the internal graphical options of each UE4 title, creating optimization profiles based on an in-depth study of each GPU and how they handle Vulkan resources, or adding exciting features like the multiplayer functionality that Clytus entrusted to me. There's also the possibility of improving external options, such as eliminating the need to manually install every update and DLC in the emulator, and instead reading them directly from the file. And perhaps the most ambitious of all, getting rid of the decryption method to avoid potential issues. As I said, I have a ton of ideas I'd love to implement, and that's not even counting the aesthetic changes I've been envisioning. But for now, they remain concepts, some more developed than others, and at some point, I'll face the challenge of implementing them correctly, testing how they work, and seeing how the community reacts to these changes. That said, I have to be honest, there are still some things I don't fully understand. While I've been improving my ability to analyze emulator issues and develop solutions day by day, I know I still have a long road ahead. I like to think I'm a fast learner, and truth be told, I still keep a little secret about all of this that would probably shock a lot of people if they knew. Haha, I think it's something I'll take to the grave. That's why the Eden team is always open to developers who want to be part of our project and help enhance our vision. Our mission is clear, to be the true successor to Yuzu. And before wrapping up, I threw in a bonus question, a bit of a controversial one. Do you think signing up for private Git repositories for emulators could put your data at risk, like what happened with Clytus? Camille's answer was, the truth is that, although it may seem contradictory, you don't actually need real information to access a self-hosted Git. You can create an access credential with false information. The only things that matter are your username and password. And by the way, the Git owner cannot see your password since it is encrypted in SHA-256. Funny, right? The real problem arises when you issue an access verification through Git access tokens or any other website authentication method, which is commonly seen on pirated websites and is dangerous for several reasons. These tokens reveal and acquire usage properties based on the user, exposing direct information about the device that connected to the site, generating cache in the browser, and more importantly, storing information based on what your browser and IP address provide. As we all know, an IP address can easily be used to determine a person's location. This token and the associated information can be accessed by the owner of the authentication verifier, in this case, Citron. Knowing a bit more about his psychological background and his ambitions to be everything, he ended up harming the one person who perhaps still supported him despite all past circumstances. This led to Orthodox Muslims, with whom he has contacts within Citron's administration group, harassing, persecuting, and threatening Clytus because of his sexual orientation, which is truly unfortunate. According to the information I gathered, Citron doxed, shared Clytus access token data, leading to this entire disaster. I wonder, how far will a man's ambition go? Every action has consequences, and using emotional or mental instability as an excuse should not justify such harm. He should be punished for the damage he caused, but deciding how and when is not for me to determine. I leave that entirely to the vote of the community. Well, that wraps up our chat for today. If you'd like another interview with a different Eden administrator, or want to see more behind the scenes from Eden and the future of emulation, drop a comment down below. Maybe we'll bring you more stories like this soon. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's also into this world of emulation. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.